Hey, Bob Vilka here for the Friday finish, the week of July 31st. Can't believe we're already into August. Summer's flying by. Wanted to let you all know that we've heard reports from around the state that the U.S. Department of Labor is doing audits, particularly targeting roofing companies, to determine whether they're violating kind of the 1099 contract employee rule. And so we just wanted to alert you, and if you want to advise your subs and all those that you work with that this could be occurring and they could get contacted by the U.S. Department of Labor, we've asked our national association to look into it as well, because we don't believe it's right to just simply arbitrarily target roofing companies, but that's what a couple of our members have been told that the U.S. Department of Labor is doing. So be forewarned on that. Also want you to know that our code committee met this week. We're looking at the potential impact of proposals that the state is considering to change the codes in Michigan. It's been 8 years since Michigan has changed its codes. We're particularly concerned about the cost of any energy efficiency requirements. You're going to be hearing more about that in the weeks ahead. And since it is August, the legislature is on break, but I want to turn things over to Dawn Crandall to give you a little update on what's happening downtown. There are still a number of work groups meeting and other activities. So Dawn, turn it over to you.
Thanks, Bob. And yes, the legislature is still on summer break, so it is extremely quiet downtown, but we are still busy working on different issues. And the next big issue that we are diving into as the Housing Michigan Coalition is a bipartisan work group tackling zoning issues. We had our second meeting this week, and we invited in Representatives Steckloff, a Democrat out of the Oakland County area, and Representative Fink out of Hillsdale County. And they are going to be our bipartisan chairs. So Representative Steckloff is a Democrat, Representative Fink is a Republican. And basically we just spitballed a ton of ideas on what can we look at. Is it, accessory dwelling units? Is it, setbacks? What are some ideas that we can do, parking requirements that we can look at and politically get through in the next, few months as we're starting to go into the political silly season of 2024. And talking about the silly season of 2024, 2023 has said, hold my beer. So I hope you'll be at the Pints and Politics session up at Traverse City. But I also want to talk about some of the political stuff that took place this week. The State Board of Canvassers met on August 1st to look at the 8 recall petitions that have been submitted, 6 against Democrats, 2 against Republicans. Only 1 petition was allowed to go forward, and that was against the Republican Cam Cabot out of Sheboygan. And the reason his was allowed to go forward was his was the clearest and simplest language and did not reference any legislation. Basically, he is being recalled because he voted for the Speaker of the House, Joe Tate, who happens to be a Democrat. That sets a lot of things in motion right now, which we'll get into more detail later. But the political season is silly. This is just the first start of moving into 2024. And, as we look at the need for financial funding for the Friends of Housing Political Action Committee, you hear me ask and ask and ask and ask again. But those dollars really do go towards us being able to have some legislation that does good for the industry. And I just want to run through a couple of those because sometimes we forget all the good that we've done at the home builders on behalf of the industry. So I'm going to tick these off pretty quickly. We were able to lower property taxes on all spec homes and developments land by 18 mills. We eliminated all builder remodeler assessments running up to $100 per license cycle for the construction lien fund. We removed over 1,800 different local building codes and replaced them with a single state construction code. We allowed the state to skip every other edition of the residential code. We've lessened regulations on building in sand dunes and wetlands, and the list goes on and on. If you come up to convention, we're going to go over some of these. We're going to talk about the blueprint for success that we have for our current legislative session. And of course, there's Pints and Politics to hear what's taking place politically in 2023 and 2024. So we look forward to seeing you at Grand Traverse Resort.
And that's a wrap for the Friday finish. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.